but as time went on, I can't keep that shit up, like in context of work. So they kind of got to know Anthony, the person. So in a way, it's been a little bit liberating in a way. They're like, people know that like there is an actual human being behind that, because I got a lot of hate in wrestling over the years because, like, as you would know, you got to defend yourself. You always walk around with your back against the wall because somebody's going to fuck you on something, right? Yeah. Somebody's going to try and steal a venue off you, steal a spot off you, talk shit about you, all that sort of stuff. So you've always got your back up. And that's just been me in wrestling. So in the sense that, like, with the Married at First Sight stuff, it's been quite liberating because it's improved my relationships backstage with people tenfold, because people kind of feel like they saw me in a different light. Like, I am somebody you can talk to. I'm not the big bad wolf all the time. So, but yeah, to answer your question, I went on there for an adventure, and boy, howdy, did I get an experience. But, like, things work out the way they do, and, here we are.
Oh, like, I mean, as far as the experience overall, like, did you find it enjoyable? Is it something, if you had your time over again, would you do it again?
Oh, I would never say I wouldn't do it again. But like, if I went in there with hindsight, then it wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
Like if I never did it, I would have been kicking myself for the rest of my life, thinking, what if I didn't do that? Because I've always seen myself, like, in wrestling, and as you said, with the movies and all that sort of stuff, like a bit of a journeyman. Yeah. And so, I'm always there, and I'm always, in the mix and all that sort of stuff. But you never really feel like, like, hey, this is my moment or anything like that. You kind of feel like, all right, cool. This week's my moment. That week's my moment. Okay, cool. This is the storyline. We're moving from this to that, to this, to that. The wrestling life. Yeah. You're never in the moment. You're always, thinking, 4 or 5 shows down the line, basically. Okay, so if we do this week, this is going to lead to that next week. Whereas with the Married at First Sight stuff, that's like all out of your hands, like 100% out of your hands. Like, you film that shit, and then it's not actually shown until like 6 months later or like 4 months later. So
you live like the negatives and the
So you kind of live in the you kind of get to learn to appreciate it for the moment that it is, I suppose. Whereas in wrestling, it's a different vibe. It is a much different vibe. You're in control with wrestling. With Mafs, you don't get to choose the edit or anything like that.
And that's the hardest thing. Like, I think where some of the things I was reading, how some people saying, I don't like the way that I was portrayed on this show, and for someone like me, it's like, well, you would have had to have eventually put something like that out there for them to capture. Like,
don't sign the contract, basically. We all put ourselves there, and it's one of those things. At the end of the day, it's like a wrestling show. If a promoter sees you in a certain way, they're going to book you that way. So you do your days shooting, you do all that sort of stuff. They make notes, they send it off to the editors, and it has to be consistent, otherwise it won't make sense. So your behavior is consistent the whole way through. Like, otherwise it wouldn't make sense. They couldn't patch that shit together even if they tried. Like, if I went out there and did a mic spot and basically, went out there and, oh, cool, we want you to say this, or this is a situation you're in, go out there, do a mic spot, and I go out there and, tell the people in the front row, hey, get fucked. What do you think's going to what do you think people are going to remember? So exactly. So you've kind of got to, I don't know, I suppose with wrestling and all that sort of stuff, I'm kind of used to having a camera pointed in my face. So but for me, it's always been a character, but they did a really good job of getting me to break that character. And they saw, I was lucky. They saw a human being under all of that. They knew how to, get me going. They'd ask me questions about my daughter. They'd ask me questions about my life. And
things you care about.
Things I care about. Yeah, exactly. Things in real life. And I'm the same in real life with wrestling. I can't fake it. That's just me as a person. You know, if I'm going out there to wrestle and Tommy, if I'm blah, blah, blah. If you ask me about my life as Anthony, well, you know, and you start talking about my daughter, I'm going to get all cooey and I'm going to get all, you know, lovey-dovey.
Yeah.
She comes to all the wrestling shows, or a lot of them, and she sits in the crowd and you can hear her, you know, like, go, daddy, go, daddy. And you'll hear like all the other kids in the crowd will be booing me and all that sort of stuff, but she just will not boo me.
You can't get heat with your daughter, man. I love it.
I can get heat with my daughter.
Yeah. But not when you're working.
No, the other day we were at the park with my daughter, myself, and my partner, and she didn't want to be walking around the park and got the shits. So me and her are just like button heads.
How old is your daughter? How old is your daughter?
She's 10.
Oh wow, yeah. 10, I got a 4-year-old, man. I got a 4-year-old daughter, and I know the feeling.
Yeah, enjoy it, mate. Every moment's like, because you look back at photos, and you know, 1 minute she's this little ball, and she's falling asleep on your chest, and then the next minute, you know, she's like a full, like she's like a full human, and you're like, what?
And get fucked, Dad. Fuck you.
No, I've never heard her swear, which is funny because I swear all the time, but she's never said fuck.
Oh, dude, I got 3 kids, and like my eldest is 6 now. When he was like 3, he actually started dropping F-bombs in context. And it was like and eyes just immediately went to me, just going, "What the fuck do you say around your kid?"
Yeah, I wonder where that came from.
yeah. Hey, man, at least he was able to say it in context. I said, "Smart kid, he gets it. He just gets it."
I remember this when I was a kid. My dad would say something, and I'd think it was so funny. I just couldn't wait to tell everybody what he said. So my dad is always walking around with his, you know, like proverbial foot in his mouth because, you know, kids repeat shit. So I knew, like, I knew hindsight, I was never going to make that same mistake. So around my daughter, I don't say anything about no P's, no Q's, no nothing. Because the last thing I want is her to go back to her mum's and said, "Oh, you want to hear Dad's, you know, opinion on politics?"
Yeah, smart move, man. The smart move. You keep that shit kayfabe from the kids for sure.
Wrestling, mate, always working.
Exactly. That's a worker's mindset right there. Always staying on the ball, man. But you know,
exactly.
As far as, you know, coming in, you know, to that Mafs experience, like I always think, like, you know, coming in from being a single dude or a single person, and then being like in an instant, you're just around someone 24/7. It was that like a massive change. Like, how much of a shock to the system was that for you?
I don't know. It wouldn't have been a shock to the system if we liked each other, I suppose. But yeah, we just didn't get along. I think that was the nooks and cranny of it. But I can't say too much about it. But like I don't know. It was I'm used to being in relationships. Seem to be, because I just find comfort in that. You know, I like having people around me. I like having good people around me. People that, you know, like bring something to my life and all that sort of stuff. So being in a relationship and being around somebody, I'm 0 to 100, you know, so I'm either in a relationship or I'm not in a relationship, all that sort of jazz. So it was bizarre. It was weird because you're supposed to be in this sort of relationship, but you're not actually just together. Like, there's other people with you all around you. So it's a weird feeling.
Yeah, I can imagine it would be like in this weird little bubble of like they even I think they called it an experiment, right? Like that was the whole gimmick of the show. Like it really is an experiment. Like it's almost like you seeing human. Sorry,
it's an experiment. Like it's sports entertainment.
Yeah, like it's almost like seeing like